WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day as we track the potential for strong and severe thunderstorms right on through the evening. We'll have the latest just ahead.
A man is accused of attempted murder of a police officer in Lincoln County after a wild series of events that began Saturday night and ended on Sunday night, and the subject was finally found.
Kenneth Keith, the man accused of killing 3 people back in September of 2013, was back in court.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good afternoon. We continue to track strong and severe storms moving across parts of Kentucky. We have declared today a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day. The storms could bring with them damaging winds, heavy rain, and some large hail. We begin with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, who's tracking it all for us on the First Alert Defender. How about it, Chris?
Yeah, coming at us in waves. Amber and Jennifer, those waves of strong and severe thunderstorms working across especially north central and northeastern Kentucky as of right now. The warnings that we had have just expired as of 5:30, so that's some good news. Bad news, storms could still pack a little bit of a punch in terms of some wind. As we've been saying, this is not a big widespread severe thunderstorm outbreak, but it is a localized damaging wind producer that we're tracking. Storm that is on top of the Lancaster area, Garrett County, rolling its way toward the east. Is weakening a little bit, so some very heavy rains not too far away from the Crab Orchard area up on top of Paint Lick, Berea, Richmond, getting in on a case of some very soggy weather this afternoon, heading into the early evening, though very pronounced line of thunderstorms beginning to pick up a little steam here. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. This could be a damaging wind producer that is now working its way across Carter County, across Rowan County, and moving into western parts of Morgan County. That extends back toward the southwest. When I start to see on Defender, notice how we have a big ramp up in the colors here. That's usually a good indicator on our radar that the leading edge of that is going to be producing some winds greater than 40 to 50 miles an hour. That is blowing through the Hazel Green area, heading toward West Liberty. Coming up shortly, here's a little bow that is embedded within the overall line that just moved out of northeastern parts of the Moorhead area into western sections of Carter County. Very heavy rain showing up across Moorhead. Southern Kentucky, heavier thunderstorms here have been weakening a little bit, though it's a lot of flooding rains in some cases that we're watching out for. A flash flood warning, Bell, Knox, and Whitley counties until 7:30. Additional waves of some showers and storms scattered will come our way as we go through the evening. But really, ladies, we're going to continue to watch this line of thunderstorms to the east of Lexington that could produce some damaging winds as it rolls eastward across the Mountain Parkway corridor and across Interstate 64.
Chris, thank you. We have seen several pictures of the storms coming into the newsroom tonight. Check out this photo of a tree damaged by wind in Floyd County. If you have pictures of the storm or any damage, we want to see them. Just send them to eyewitness@WKYT.com or post them to our Facebook or Twitter pages. He's accused of trying to kill a police officer. Tonight, a Lincoln County man is in jail. Police say he led officers on a chase, then hit a cruiser head-on with his vehicle. Investigators say the officer then fired shots at Jasper McCann. McCann ran away and was later arrested. Phil Pendleton is talking to friends of McCann who say police arrested the wrong man. It's our top story at 5:30.
It began with a disturbance complaint on Foster Lane in Stanford. Police say when they showed up, Jasper McCann took off. The chase proceeded on the U.S. Highway 150 and then onto Wilderness Road when the chief says the officer found himself in harm's way.
Went up into a driveway and turned around and came back towards the officer head on his vehicle. The officer saw this. Subject kept coming, sped up and rammed the front of the cruiser.
That's when the officer opened fire, but no one was apparently injured.
After shots were fired, the subject took off on foot and fled the scene.
Police say all that happened after 9:30 Saturday night. They received information about 24 hours later that McCann was hiding out in a home several miles away on Berry Hollow Road.
It was a barricade situation. When they got there,
McCann was eventually arrested, but now he's in jail facing multiple charges, including attempted murder of a police officer.
Well, they're saying that, but he said it was not him driving, is what he told me. He said he had loaned his truck out.
Yet police say otherwise. He's also charged with fleeing or evading, wanton endangerment, possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, and parole violation.
Jasper's a good person. I mean, he is when he's straight. He gets with the wrong crowd.
McCann remains in jail on a $100,000 cash bond. In Lincoln County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
We have learned Kentucky State Police are investigating the part of the case involving the Stanford officer firing his weapon at McCann.
A surprise in court leads to a delay in a triple murder case. Kenneth Keith is accused of killing Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith and Daniel Smith at a Danville pawn shop in 2013. Today, Keith was supposed to have a competency hearing, but his attorney withdrew from the case. In this Crime Tracker report, Sam Smith tells us why Keith has a new attorney.
Kenneth Keith was back in the courtroom this afternoon. There was supposed to be a competency hearing to see if Keith is fit to stand trial, but that was delayed. Keith's attorney, Bethany Stanziano, withdrew from this case. A new attorney, Sandra Downs, takes her place. She's from the State Department for Public Advocacy. Stanziano's husband was murdered last year. Her motion says Stanziano was no longer an effective death penalty defense team. Because the new representation needs time to look over this triple murder case, today's hearing was postponed. The plan was to have the hearing to see if Keith was fit to stand trial. He's accused of shooting and killing a couple that ran a Danville shop, ABC, Gold Games and More, Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith. He's also accused of killing a customer, Daniel Smith. All three died in the store back in September of 2013. Keith is expected back in court on July 27th. That's when his competency hearing is expected to take place. In Boyle County, Sam Smith, WKYT.
The defense hopes to have a doctor inside the courtroom at Keith's upcoming competency hearing in July.
A state police report shows that an officer was speeding when he hit and killed a pedestrian back in January. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Lincoln County. The report says that Stanford police officer Travis Richardson was going 90 miles an hour when he hit 69-year-old Howard Robbins on US 150 in Crab Orchard. Robbins died at the scene. The Stanford police chief tells us that he cannot comment on the case, but he does say that Richardson is not working right now. He also says that the city council is expected to address the matter. In Montgomery County, a teenager pleads not guilty to accusations that he threatened to kill someone. Deputies arrested 18-year-old Austin Russell last month in Franklin County. The sheriff's office says Russell sent several text messages to friends saying he was going to rob a bank in Montgomery County and that he was going to kill someone. We're told the messages had specific times listed for his threats. He's charged with solicitation to commit robbery and murder. Russell will be back in court next week for a preliminary hearing. And in Laurel County, a woman is facing charges tonight for threatening and attacking a police officer. Deputies say they were called to Echo Valley Road in London after a caller said a woman was threatening her sister. When deputies arrived, they say the woman, 37-year-old Chastity Gray, threatened to kill an officer and then tried to hit the officer. After a brief scuffle, deputies arrested Gray. She was charged with terroristic threatening, assaulting an officer, and resisting arrest.
Hundreds of state workers are about to get a raise. Today, Governor Steve Beshear announced he's increasing the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour for 800 state employees starting July 1st. The raise only affects workers in the executive branch and will cost taxpayers $1.6 million. The current minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Beshear says about 1/3 of the affected employees work in state nursing homes caring for military veterans.
Too many jobs in the lower end of the economic ladder in the United States simply do not pay enough to cover basic essentials like food, shelter, clothes, health care, much less luxuries or a better life.
Two Republican state representatives released a statement after the announcement supporting the governor's decision, but say workers in every industry deserve a higher wage. The State Board of Election has officially certified the results of the May primary. That means Republican Matt Bevin and Democrat Jack Conway will be on the November ballot for Kentucky governor. Today, Conway and Bevin's campaigns said they've accepted invitations to take part in 6 debates, including one at Eastern Kentucky that will be broadcast by WKYT. Our own Bill Bryant will moderate the debate on October 25th.
The drug epidemic is something that is happening all across the world. It's a serious problem that people here in Kentucky hear about all the time. And as our Sam Dick tells us, it's a problem that's tearing apart families and sending dozens to prison.
Our goal is to try to illustrate the dangers of it. You'll go to prison, and the other danger is that you'll ruin your life and most likely lose your family.
Inspector Nunez is talking about crystal methamphetamine, a highly addictive illegal drug. Crystal meth, or ice, is at the heart of a bust made on the island of Guam that yielded $500,000 worth of confiscated drugs from packages. It is called Operation Thin Ice.
Screened over 240,000 inbound and outgoing parcels, and we've written and executed over 320 federal search warrants on these parcels. And with that, we recovered over 35 pounds of methamphetamine ice. It's been very successful thus far.
So far, 35 arrests have been made, but the investigation is ongoing. The people on this small island know they have a problem.
Methamphetamine is the primary drug of choice here. We've seen purity levels above 90%, and what comes with high purity levels is high addiction rates.
They become completely dependent on a drug that then causes them to do other things that may be criminal activities as well. And this, of course, can have an extremely adverse or negative impact or effect on family members.
The U.S. Postal Inspection Service developed this poster in hopes to deter anyone from getting involved. Public officials say that law enforcement is not enough. Awareness and treatment need to be also a part of the operation because this drug triggers a vicious cycle.
It's important that people realize the damage that this is doing to the island, to families, and the individuals. It's very difficult to arrest a father, a brother, or a mother. And to see those kids, to see the tears in their eyes when we're taking those people away.
And that was our Sam Dick reporting Operation Thin Ice, and the investigations linked to it are still ongoing.
The Kentucky Wildlife Center wants people to leave baby animals alone and not take home stray animals.
That could be hurting the animals more than helping them. New at 5:30, Rebecca Smith explains when you should help and when you should leave an animal alone.
A lot of our WKYT viewers have reported bear sightings all across central Kentucky lately. In addition to bears or babies of the wildlife variety, if you find a little baby on its own with no parent in sight, it may appear as though it's been abandoned.
Where he's been scraping against his shell, it's kind of irritated.
However, oftentimes there's a loving mother caring for this little baby, and she's too scared to come for it if there's a predator nearby.
So it is the mother's job to stay away from the babies as long as possible during the day. Usually only come back a couple times a day to feed or to relocate the nest.
But there are some instances in which help is needed.
If there's any parasites such as ticks or maggots or a lot of flies, that is generally indication that the fawn has been abandoned or orphaned and should come into care. If you see the tips of the fawn's ears curled, that is an indication that it is very dehydrated.
The Kentucky Wildlife Center stresses the importance of rehabilitators who are trained to deal with wildlife. Not all veterinarians have experience with wild animals. Rebecca Smith, WKYT.
Local, regional, and federal laws may prohibit you from having a wild animal, even if you're temporarily caring for it and plan to release it back into the wild.
A traffic alert to pass along to you tonight. Drivers traveling on the Mountain Parkway might experience some short delays early next week. Contractors will be taking down an existing overpass in McGoffin County. Work on the Gifford Road overpass is scheduled to start June 16th and will last about 3 days. Contractors will stop traffic for no more than 20 minutes at a time as they tear down that overpass.